Welcome back to Loose Framing Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Martinovich, and to my right is...
Jesse Brock.
Good morning, Jesse. How are you?
Howdy. I'm great. How are you?
I am weary and tired. It has been a long week.
Well, that's a contrast.
But I'm excited that we have some really great guests today, so hopefully that's going to energize me.
Yeah.
In a little bit, we're going to be talking with Sean and Brielle Keller, a dynamic camera duo, which is really exciting.
He's a cinematographer, and she is a first AC.
And also an actress.
And an actress, yes.
They've been very, very busy the last couple of years. So we'll be talking about them, how they got their start, what it's like working with, as a married couple. I think they're inspiring not only to us as a film commission, but also to filmmakers looking to get a start in Tampa Bay.
Right. I originally found them on Instagram, and what I noticed is that my 13-year-old cousin, who is an actor, follows them. And I was like, how does he know them? Because I've never really seen them in the same room, but it's just the power of Instagram and the power of, representing that you can have your dream job in Tampa and not only make content, but get paid to do it and get consistent work. And I think that it's really important for kids and creators, the next generation, to be inspired like that and to know that that's possible.
And they got a cool story. I mean, obviously they're from Tampa Bay, but this last year they bought an RV and they've been traveling the country, doing a lot of different gigs. They were just out in New Mexico shooting a feature. They were up in Chicago shooting a commercial. And they're the only ones that I can think of, honestly, I know a lot of people in the film industry, that one are married, two they're living out of an RV, and they're literally bringing their home with them to set. I think it's such a cool story.
It is a great concept. I mean, if you're traveling, you traveled a lot.
Yeah. I've lived in 21 states, so I've been in a lot of places as well. But it's a cool story, so we hope you guys enjoy. We won't talk too much longer here. So with that, we'll be right back with Sean and Brielle Keller. Welcome back to Loose Framing Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Martinovich, and joining me now are Brielle and Sean Keller. How are you guys?
Doing wonderful, Tyler. Thank you so much for having us. We are happy to be here.
I'm glad you guys are with us. We didn't start out this podcast trying to find every dynamic couple in film in Tampa Bay, but somehow you guys are our fifth dynamic couple that we've had.
Wow.
Just a coincidence. But I think the first that are working together in concert behind the camera. So tell us a little about yourselves, what you do, and how did you get into it?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I'm a director of photography and camera operator. I started out in the industry, feels like many years ago now, as a production assistant. And as a production assistant, I knew that was my foot in the door. And ever since I was 7 years old, I fell in love with light. I love the way light fell on trees and objects and houses and people. And I just kind of paid attention to that stuff. And shortly, when I was about 7 years old, I watched the movie Jaws, and it changed my life forever. And it was just such a cinematic masterpiece to me, especially being a Spielberg movie. I was instantly enthralled with being a director of photography. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I knew I wanted to shoot movies.
You've known Sean since, I think I heard earlier, since you were 5 years old and that is what led you cosmically into the film industry. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. So I was in music. I was playing the guitar and singing solo in the Tampa Bay area for a couple years, and I didn't really know where my music career was going. I was tired of late nights in the bars and restaurants, and I kind of had a different dream. I wanted to still perform, but I didn't know what that looked like anymore. So when Sean entered my life and he told me what he did, he works with cameras, I thought, cameras, performance in front of cameras. So to me, showing interest in the camera and learning all about that and seeing how that works would eventually breadcrumb me in front of it.
Yeah.
So I used him as my mentor. He was my teacher. I learned from other camera operators. I learned all about the grip trucks, how this whole process works, so that I could feel more comfortable being a performer and just kind of gather this appreciation of the whole process.
There's approximately 2 million people working in film and digital media from coast to coast. Less than 25% are women on sets.
Wow.
So it's nice to see a female AC working in market. But have you seen just in your time in film more and more women step into leadership roles and creative roles on a film set?
I have seen that. We were in Chicago, and there was a sticker that I have in our RV that says filmmaking, female filmmakers is the future. And I do see this movement of females wanting to work more in male roles traditionally, and it's empowering, and it feels badass to walk around with this 40-pound fully built Arri Alexa Mini and hand it off, and take the tripod and throw it over my shoulders and put it in a box truck, and it feels really good.
So I did a disservice in introducing you guys earlier. You're not just the dynamic camera duo. You are an accomplished actress. You guys write. You do so many things. You are prolific creators on Instagram. You travel the world. So talk a little bit about the dynamic of your relationship and how you've spent the last couple of years traveling the country and doing amazing things.
Certainly. Starting our careers here in Florida, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, was just the beginning for us, and we didn't have any idea we were going to end up traveling so much. That was a decision that we made after finishing a movie here in Sarasota just last year, and it's hard for everybody right now during these times. So many of us are trying to figure out which ways to go and what to do, and rent is absurd. So we were like, what can we do to own what we have, to own a home and be able to do what we love to do and travel?
I just want to interject.
Yeah.
Because also with our jobs, we were going to Atlanta and doing some jobs. And then we would go to St. Pete and do some jobs. And then we were in Jacksonville, and then we were in Tampa. And it's like we were paying rent for somewhere where we were always leaving.
Yeah.
And it just always felt like this back and forth. So we were kind of racking our heads of like, where should we move? Where should we be? But how can we really move somewhere when we know that our jobs are always going to take us all over? And we always wanted to travel. So I just one day kind of had, maybe together we figured it out, but one day the idea of what if we lived in an RV, got rid of all of our stuff, so we were always at home. Home is where you park it. And like, what would that look like? We have 2 large dogs, we have a cat, so that was also a thing. How can we have our animals? How can we have our whole life right here? And cosmically, the universe kind of led us to this RV situation. And
yeah, I think that's awesome. And there's so many people who just get burned out of living in hotels and flying from place to place.
That's the thing, because a lot of productions want to hire local people, and we were like, well, how can we be local anywhere? Yeah. Bring our home with us. Are we gonna, if we travel, it's no skin off our back, because we know we have a place that we don't have to necessarily pay for. If we chose to work locally, those productions aren't going to put you up. So, and even if they're not hiring locally, they're not going to do that anyway. So we said,
we're more marketable.
Let's bring a home with us. That way we have our animals with us all the time. And we have our gear. We have everything we need in the back of our truck, and our house attached to the back. And we can work right there on any production, which has been so fun to do so far. Because right from Sarasota, after we bought our rig, we went straight to Chicago. And we worked on another feature in Chicago. And we got to live right on set and be with the rest of the crew.
Which was a crazy scenario, too. So in the middle of making this movie in Sarasota, we got a call for a commercial, Go-Go Squeeze, in Jacksonville, I think, to work with a DP we had never met before. We had a fun time with the crew. He was from California, and little did we know he was also crewing up for a movie in Chicago. He couldn't find anybody locally or anybody that he knew to first and second AC, and he was losing his mind. And he just remembered working with us a couple weeks prior. Hey guys, I have this crazy thing to ask of you. Will you come up to Chicago and be my first and second AC? Well, we just bought this RV and we wanted to travel with it anyway. So yeah, we're on our way.
Yeah,
he almost fell over when we walked on set.
I don't want to jinx anything, but it does seem like the stars are aligned for you guys. Like there just seems to be a cosmic move to push you in the right direction. So that's awesome. Yeah. It's one thing to do a lot of service work, and everyone in this industry does a lot of service work, but it's another thing to create your own whatever that thing is. And in your guys' case, you wrote a film, Elfette Saves Christmas.
Yeah.
I believe you worked with Christian Cashmere, right, as the director, and the actor from The Blind Side, right?
Yes,
Aaron.
Aaron. Yeah.
Awesome. And you DP'd it, and there's kind of a fun story here, which we'll get to the fun story. But before that, tell us a little bit about what Elfette Saves Christmas is, where the idea came from, and then what the production process was like.
Sure.
So we were doing some work with Lightwave Media, and we were making all these little seasonal YouTube videos. And the season of Christmas was coming up. What do we want to do as a little episode? So I came up with the idea of this elf, Elfette, and she wants to save Christmas, and it was just supposed to be like a little short film. Then we got Quentin Aaron to be Santa Claus, which we had met on a prior set. I called him and said, funny question. Do you want to be a Santa Claus in this little thing that we're making? So the film commission, St. Pete Clearwater, Tony Armour said, you guys need to make this a feature. So then it became this whole project that we were writing as we were filming. And Elfette Saves Christmas is basically about an elf who has a hard time believing in herself. And at the end of the film, she ends up finding out that the magic is inside of her. And I wanted that to be inspirational to parents and to kids to follow a dream, whatever that might be.
And going back to what you were originally talking about, how you were led from being a performer to learning behind the camera. Now you're back in front of the camera after writing your own story.
Yeah.
Now you're Elfette.
Yeah. So Elfette was me as a 10-year-old girl trying to figure out how to make a dream come true. And it just became very natural for me. It was absolutely a dream. I was still the first AC during the film and swapping lenses, and obviously I couldn't pull focus and act at the same time, so I did not do that. But when I wasn't acting, I was building the camera, I was loading a grip truck, I was doing everything in an elf costume in front and behind.
It was amazing.
And I mean, that's the best way to learn, I think, is to just throw yourself in.
Absolutely. So, Sean, talk a little about the production, because normally when you start a feature film, you've got a locked script, you got a schedule. You guys are just on the fly doing this.
Yeah. No, this one was definitely different and out of the box compared to the other features we've done. This was just, I don't know what to call it, organized or unorganized chaos in a way. But we made it work as a team. And the production process was, from the very beginning, was very intricate. In a way, we're sitting in the office constantly writing down what we need, what we want to see, creating a list, and just trying to piece it all together. Because originally it was supposed to be more of an adult humor movie. It wasn't really meant as a kid's movie, as a Christmas film. And when we heard that we needed to get a dove seal, that changed everything. So what we've already wrote, we had to go back and rewrite again or change and then add more in order to make it more kid-friendly. And there was a lot of moving parts to that, but we were fortunate to have such great gear to shoot this movie, having 2 Alexa Minis, having wonderful lenses, having great lights to be able to make all of this come together. It was, for a low budget, we were blessed and fortunate to have what we had to be able to tell the story of Elfette.
In the community.
In the community. I mean, goodness gracious. Yes, Tampa, St. Petersburg has wonderful filmmakers who are all so hardworking, who came together voluntarily to make this production happen.
To believe in a dream.
To believe in a dream.
Yeah, it is the nice thing about having a production community around you, because you're always trading favors in this business, and to be able to call on not just quality filmmakers, but people who you also call friend, is a really tremendous honor to be able to create things with people you know and love. But this project also ended up taking you guys to New York City for a little bit in March, which resulted in a happy ending, both for the movie, but also for you guys personally. So tell us a little about that.
Yeah, so that actually was, we went up there in December, and it was
We did go up there for the Christmas season because we wanted snow and we wanted the big Rockefeller
Instead you got
tree.
slush.
Yeah, we got no snow at all,
No,
just
we got
rain.
no snow and no Rockefeller tree. That was completely out of the picture. They said, put that camera away and go somewhere else. So that Rockefeller tree was actually downtown St. Pete tree. But yes, what happened in New York, babe?
So on the last day of shooting in New York City, we were just getting ready to finish our last actual principal scene there. And I approached Brielle and I said, Brielle, we have one more scene to shoot. And she's written, a majority of this movie. And she's like, what are you talking about? There's no scenes to shoot. And I said, no, there's one more. I really want to add it. I've already talked to Chris about adding another scene, and the whole crew was in on it already. And she's like all huffing and puffing. She's pissed off. She's cold. She's wet. She's in this stinky elf costume that she's been wearing for the past, 5 months. And she wants to go home, and I understood that. And it was Christmas Eve. No, it was the 23rd, and
It was almost Christmas.
Yeah, and I staged the scene in Madison Square Park, right outside the Flatiron Building, which is one of my favorite architectural pieces, and we were shooting a scene in front of a Christmas tree, I say that with quotations, and I sped the camera, and she was standing in front of the tree, and Christian was directing her, and then I kind of snuck around, and I went behind her, and I said, okay, I need you to turn around, which threw her off, because she wouldn't expect to hear my voice while we're shooting something from the opposite side of the camera. And she turns around, and I'm on one knee, and I proposed to her in New York City. And the special thing about that was, I wanted to make it something that would be very memorable for her. Her first movie as a protagonist, as the star, something that she worked so hard for, and also something in New York City. I mean, proposing in New York City, very romantic. And I framed it, and I shot the whole proposal on the Alexa, and we had the Empire State Building in the background and the beautiful glistening Christmas tree, and it was very special. It was a memory you got to keep forever cinematically, and got to tell a tale for her movie.
So what was it like saying yes in an elf costume?
I was very shocked. I was very thrown off. My first reaction was I put my hands over my mouth, and I just said yes. It was all much a blur to me. I heard clapping. I looked around, and there's a circle around us of all these spectators that were watching. And they're all clapping and cheering, and I was so delusional from working 17-hour days for a straight week in an elf costume. I didn't know if I was dreaming. I think it took me a couple days to even process what happened. It was incredible. I was like, he must really love me to propose to me as a fictional elf creature.
That could be one of the most amazing proposal stories I've ever heard. I mean, everyone proposes in New York, but how many get to DP it themselves?
Right.
While your future fiance/wife is going to, be in an elf costume with a crowd of crew behind you. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. That is very cool.
So we need to wrap up here, but before we do, I want to talk a little bit about what it was like working here and living here in St. Petersburg. And, you mentioned something earlier about being able to travel the world, but, you always have a home to come back to. So talk a little bit about that.
Growing up in St. Petersburg was a lot of fun. I think it's such a beautiful place here. And, kind of touching on, no matter where we've traveled so far, we've seen some beautiful places. The nation's gorgeous. I mean, but bringing us back full circle to home, there really isn't anything as beautiful as Tampa, St. Petersburg. It's a very special place. It has its own energy. It has its own vibe. And it's got such great people. So being able to know that we started our careers here, brought our careers outward and onward elsewhere, continue to do that, but know that we always have a place to come back, which we can always call home, and forever we will, is wonderful. To be able to come back when we need to come back and continue to work on things here, and watch Florida, Tampa, and St. Petersburg grow as a community, and grow as a filmmaking state and filmmaking city is super cool to be a part of. And I feel honored to have started my career right here in Tampa, St. Pete.
Yeah, so many talented people have come out of Tampa Bay,
Yes.
and they travel everywhere.
Yes.
And they come back. And I feel, and I hope you guys agree, there's really good crew here in town and good people 100%. To rely upon.
Yeah, we call it our film family because it really does feel like that. When you walk on set and you know somebody and you've worked with them, there's a comfort there that we weren't really able to find anywhere else. And we were able to learn and grow and expand with other people elsewhere. But when we come back here, there's a sense of synergy that we always feel very blessed to experience in the Tampa Bay area.
I appreciate the plug. I certainly believe it myself. Before we wrap up, though, I want to talk a little bit about Instagram, because I know you guys are both very active on there. I feel like Instagram is the social media platform that filmmakers talk to each other on. It's especially if you're into the visual side of things, and you're a DP or a photographer. It's your way to flex and show off the cool places you're at, your images, how you're seeing light. How do you guys activate on Instagram, and how have you used that to both propel your own careers, but also to promote yourselves?
Sure. So we kind of say that Instagram is like the new resume, where whatever you're doing, it's a great way to just showcase yourself. I mean, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And we are also very grateful to have gotten the outreach that we were able to connect on there. I mean, I was just happy to share. Look at me, I'm doing something I love. And people were reacting to that. So I thought that was really, really neat that there's that opportunity to communicate that way.
100%. And, social media is a great way to connect professionally. I look at using Instagram and Facebook as a professional tool. I don't necessarily like to put my whole life out there. I like to put what I do as a career and what I share with Brielle as a career out there. Because, like she said, to me, it's an incredible resume. It's a portfolio of what you do. Like, so many people are like, oh, send me your reel, send me your reel, send me your reel. And yes, of course, have a reel. But, Instagram shows the behind the scene of what you do and how you tell your story, and of the people you work with, and, hashtagging certain companies and brands and people, really kind of ties you to a spider web of your industry. And, it brings you closer to other companies. It brings you closer to other people who are in the industry, and it gives you the ability to share. And that's the one thing that I love about Instagram for work professionally, is that it's a never-ending sharing portfolio of awesomeness.
And I feel like the totality of it, if I'm scrolling through a DP or a photographer's page, if you've posted enough pictures, by the end of it, I get a pretty good sense of what, how you like to use light, what's the mood you tend towards with your framing, your color correction. Yep. It really is like a living resume. And I think people should spend more time thinking about how they're crafting their own image and the message they're putting out there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. I mean, I've found myself doing that. I learned technique through Instagram. I'll go on, ASC members, and even not ASC members, even local friends who have excelled in their careers, and I see their screen grabs. And, sometimes people like to share a lighting diagram for example, like I just shared a couple lighting diagrams of something that I shot out in LA with my gaffer, because I kind of wanted to give a sense of knowledge, and, being able to write what you're doing in a small paragraph and say, this is how I lit this scene. There's many a time where I've taken screen grabs of other people's images and them explaining, because it gives me an idea of like, oh, maybe I can implement that in my next lighting gig. You know what I mean? Because knowledge is power. A community of filmmakers is something that we should share our knowledge with. And I've worked with people who compete. And yes, of course, it's a business, but coming together and being able to share that knowledge and help each other is a great way to grow as creatives, because no one wants to take, liberty over another person's art. It's that it's sharing. And I find that to be valuable in the production industry, is sharing knowledge and learning from one another, because we all have something we can teach.
No, that's awesome. And I sort of teed it up because I want you guys to promote your Instagram, because I do feel it's an awesome resource. You guys post some really good content. So how can people find you on social media?
So mine is at Brielle, the letter N, film. So BrielleNFilm.
And mine is at Cinesean, Cinesean, Cinesean.
Well, we will definitely link to y'all's Instagram when this goes live. But before we close out, do you have any upcoming projects you want to promote, or what's the next couple months hold for you guys?
Well, things can come so randomly in this industry. Sometimes you're like, I don't have anything this week. And then a day later, you're like, oh, I have a 3-day job.
I'm booked.
I have no idea where that came from. But we've got some pretty exciting projects in the work for ourselves. We're trying to get a movie funded with some local filmmakers here in Tampa, and bring it out west to Albuquerque, New Mexico. So fingers crossed, and with all the hard work that we've been doing to be able to get that funded, we can make that come into fruition, and we'll have a feature.
We're newly represented by Level Talent, so I thought that was exciting that now we were both behind the camera, and I'm pushing him in front of the camera as we sit in front of cameras. So that's going pretty well so
But
far.
you're in good hands with Kelly Page
Yes.
and Level.
Yeah, they're great over there.
Absolutely. We are going to go film a music festival, Lake Okeechobee, where I get to be there. Super excited. Not a whole lot of work for me with this baby belly, but this is a job.
Which this is a
that I can
podcast. I
do.
didn't even introduce the fact that you have a third on the way, or third for your dynamic, not your third child. Let's be clear about that. And it's Baby Canyon is on his way soon. When's the due date?
Yeah.
May 11th.
May 11th, coming up.
So soon.
But then you've got another one to add to your TV family.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so they're going to represent us as a family, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, they will. And it'll be fun to have a little one on set and be able to
Yeah.
explore the industry that we're in and grow
Yeah.
up with it.
I'm just excited the idea because I lived in 21 states, so I know, which sounds like you're a nomad, and you are at that point, but
Yeah.
you see so much. So the idea of being a young child and traveling and seeing the world, that's awesome. So,
Yeah.
well, Mazel Tov, congratulations to you both, and thank you guys for coming on the podcast, and we will be right back. Welcome back to Loose Framing Podcast. That was a great episode, Jesse.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I don't know about you, but I was reaching for the tissues when they were talking about the proposal.
I'm not a schmaltzy person, but
was like,
when I was
oh.
thinking about, I'm married, so I've gone through the proposal process myself, and
Was it
nowhere
lit?
near
Were
that.
you the DP
I
of
was
your
not,
proposal?
no, and my wife was not dressed as an elf, and it definitely wasn't in Christmas in New York City with a gorgeous Christmas tree
I
behind
was
them.
telling them off camera that they need to make a script or write a script, make a movie about that.
Well, they sort of did. They got it on camera, so
Right, I know, but still.
yeah. But it was a great story, and they were just really good people, and it's clear that they're really into each other, which I think is
Yeah.
exciting. They've got a baby on the way.
Yeah.
That is a family that is going to do really well in this industry.
Yeah. Well, they're an example of someone who's living their dreams out, both professionally and personally. And when that coexists like that, I mean, it's crazy.
What's your dreams, Jesse Brock?
I'm feeling a little dreamy. So I was going to ask you, let's get personal. I was going to ask you that, that if you didn't already have your dream job, obviously being film commissioner,
I'm going to be perfectly
pretty
I'm going to
great.
be perfectly straight with you. When people used to ask me what I wanted to do when I was younger, I would say I wanted to be a hitman.
a hitman?
Yeah, I don't know why. I thought it was a cool idea. Obviously stupid,
Oh
but
my God.
yeah, that was my two. I had two, so it was either hitman or a paleontologist, and very, very different things.
Yeah.
But then I was like, well, I actually have to hurt people, which I'm not going to do, and
Yeah.
also I don't like science, so I'm not going to be a paleontologist. So,
Well, I wasn't going to go that far back. I was going to keep it to the film industry.
you
but
said
if
personal.
we are,
I got real personal.
if we're
with you,
getting that
Jesse.
personal, I will admit that I used to want to be a dentist. And I not
dentist?
only did I want to be a dentist, I wanted to be a dentist for the movies because of Pirates of the Caribbean. And I saw this interview where Johnny Depp had to sit through actual dentistry to get like actual caps and fake teeth. And I was like, oh, I want to do that.
You want to stare at celebrities' teeth?
I changed my mind. I didn't follow through with it, obviously.
There's some strange things rattling around in that head up there.
But anyways, I went from dentist. I've always been the type of person who likes going to the dentist. It automatically makes me a weirdo.
Yes.
Yeah, I like taking care of teeth. It's whatever.
All right. Well,
Make sure you floss, guys.
I'm glad that I'm not following my dreams as a hitman. I probably wouldn't be sitting here.
But in regards to filmmaking, though, I mean, if I didn't already have my dream job, let's be real, I'm also one to post a lot on my personal Instagram, and everyone knows that I love the job that I have now. And that's just not just a shameless plug, but that's like
If we
that's
wanna-
the truth.
If we want to stick to filmmaking, I thought I was going to be an editor for a very long time. I was good at it, and it was a documentary that broke me.
Really?
Just destroyed me. There was, 10,000 hours for the footage and archival stuff going through it, and I was just destroyed.
Was that in Savannah?
No, that was down in Sarasota. This was about 12, 13 years ago. And it was just too much. It was like, this is
Did it
just
get
not
done?
fun. I don't think it ever did.
Oh.
Yeah, I finally walked away from the project because it was so disorganized.
Okay.
Not
It's
on the
a
editing
shelf
side,
somewhere?
but just in how they were piecemealing me the footage, and nothing was transcribed, and there was just no labeling on anything. So it's like I don't have 25 years of my life to sit here and watch every minute. There's just nothing organized about it, and just like I
What
can't do
genre
this.
was it?
It was no, it was a documentary.
Yeah, duh.
It was like a self-help style. Anyway, it was difficult, man, and it put such a bad taste in my mouth. It's like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna edit it anymore.
Yeah. Well, I have always wanted to be a publicist, obviously. And my original goal was to be a unit publicist. And then I found out about a dude named Matt Labov, who represents all the comedians. He represents Jack Black, Danny McBride, Will Ferrell. Like, he has the entire Rolodex. And I was like, what agency does he work for? Like, I want to do that. But I wanted to do that with the female comedians. I wanted to be like, I wanted to have the Rolodex of like Ali Wong and Edie Patterson, Adie Bryant. But in order to follow that dream, I would have to give up on another one, which is to live in my hometown and start a family. So obviously, if you're a PR representative for someone, you're basically married to your job, and it's like you're handcuffed to the people you're representing, and you're answering phone calls at like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. when Will Ferrell like crashes his car or something,
I feel like it probably would be like being handcuffed to somebody.
Yeah, so I thought that through, and very happy where I landed.
Yeah. But if you are representing comedians, I'm sorry.
Rude.
But with that, we should probably close it out. So kids, follow your dreams. Don't be a hitman. You can, in fact, work and live and have a family
Yes.
in your hometown and be successful at film. So I think
Sean and Brielle are perfect examples
that's
of
what
that.
I took away from that. But also, follow your dreams. So, if you want to spend a year traveling, do it, get the experiences.
Yes.
You'll end up, I think you used the word shine, and you need to shine in this profession. So with that, let's close it out. Jesse, where can they find us on social media?
We are Loose Framing Podcast. Listen to us anywhere you stream podcasts or watch us on YouTube. And make sure you follow @Film Tampa Bay on social media.
And with that, we'll see you next time.